Hey guys, good morning. Julia here. It's day 24, 45 days to adulting countdown. It's a sleepy Saturday here in Cambridge. And today I wanted to talk about buying a house because we live in America, most of us. So we probably have this American dream of buying a house, white picket fence, or at least, we have, if that's not our dream, we have that visual somewhere in the back of our minds, somehow maybe guiding us towards doing something like buying a house that we might not really think about for much of our 20s, and then it might kind of hit us all at once. And we might feel like, I would like to own a house. Like, I would like to have roots. I was talking with my friend Angie last night, and she lived all over the world, Senegal, Benin, West Africa, Eastern Europe, all over the place, and really felt like she never was going to have to like have those roots, like that really settled feeling. And now at 29, she's like, I think I'm ready. And she maybe was the last person that she or I or anyone thought would ever want to own a house. But it's one of those things that if you've never done it before, you might really have no idea where to start. So I'm going to share 3 points that will help you understand if you are ready to buy a house and what it might look like if you decide you do want to. First thing is related to our budget module or our budget video. We also have a budget module inside Rise. But you should not be spending more than 1/3 of your income, your monthly income, on rent or a mortgage. So that's the first place to start to consider what might be in our budget. So when we're looking at mortgages, so if you're on, like Zillow is a good real estate website, you can go and their calculator, don't trust it entirely, but you can type in like, what would the down payment be? And then what would my monthly mortgage be? And if it's over 1/3 of your monthly income, do not. No, just know that that's not in your price range. You might be able to find a house that's more affordable. So just look for different price points. So that's the first one. The second one, in terms of deciding whether or not you're kind of like ready in your life stage to buy a house, and in terms of like the economics of it, you should be fairly certain that you're going to be living in the place where you're buying that house for the next 5 years at least. And that just helps with paying down the principal and not getting penalized if you do want to sell the house again. I don't know the rules in every state, but in many states, you have to own a house for 5 years before you can sell it without getting penalized for selling the house too quickly. So you should just consider, am I going to be here for the next 5 years? If you're not, just the process, the pain, the fees that you pay to buy and to sell a home, if you don't want to hold on to it as an investment property, just not worth it if you're not going to be there for at least 5 years. And then the final point that surprised me when I was looking into buying a house is that a lot of people think you have to put 20% down. So just generally speaking, when you buy a house, you have to put a certain proportion of the cost of the home. You have to pay that upfront as your down payment. So if you do a 20% down payment and your house is $300,000, then your down payment would be $60,000. That's 20% of 300. And that's a lot of money. And a lot of homes I mean, 300,000 is actually pretty affordable these days for a home in most American cities. So you might think, I don't have $60,000 saved right now. Maybe you do, but many people might not. So it's good to know that actually the lowest possible down payment proportion is 3.5%. So you don't have to put down 20%. You can put down as low as 3.5%. And that's if you qualify for certain types of loans. So you'd have to talk to the people who would be financing your loan if you qualify for that. But most people can qualify for at least 5%. So if you were buying a $300,000 home and you were doing 5% down, that's $15,000. So $15,000 might feel a lot more reachable than $60,000, right? So it's just good to know that that's an option. And you should also know that if you don't pay 20% in your down payment upfront, then you will be paying PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. So you're essentially paying insurance to your mortgage company because there's not as much certainty around whether or not you are going to be good for the mortgage just because you didn't have that infusion of capital in the beginning. So that's usually about $100 a month. But So you do want to get to 20% down as quickly as you can. Once you have paid 20% of the principal, then that PMI, that mortgage insurance, that fee goes away. But if it helps you to make that down payment in the first place, then that's an option. Um, yes, and I bought a house in Minneapolis a few years ago, and that's what I did. Hey Peyton. So I was able to put 5% down, and that was really feasible because I didn't want to use all of my money because I also wanted to go to grad school. There were other things I wanted to do with my money. And I was able to just do 5% down, and I do pay a monthly PMI of like $115. And I'm working towards getting to that 20% point. So those are the things to consider if you are striving towards that American dream, where you just want to own a piece of property, and it can kind of hit you over the head at surprising moments where you live your life. You think, I don't need to own a home. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to do all these amazing things, and I don't have roots, and I don't need them, which is fine. You might go your whole life that way, and then one day you might say, I want to buy a house. And hopefully this video will be helpful for you when you are kind of thinking of like, how do I know when I'm ready, financially, personally, and what does it look like when I'm actually like on Zillow clicking around looking at homes? How do I know what I can afford, and what it means if I pay a little bit less than 20% in my down payment? All right, I hope you guys have a great Saturday. I'm about to go and have a really nice day with my friend Angie, who's here visiting from DC. I'm going to see if we can get a little Q&A, a little adulting guest spot later today, but I didn't want to wake her up so early. All right, guys, if you have any questions about buying a home, what it's like, what kind of things I thought about before I did it, feel free to comment over here, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.